Every time you visit a website, your browser sends a secret handshake to the server. It's a little piece of information called a host header. This header simply tells the server which website you're trying to reach. Think of it like this. A single server might host multiple websites, say example.com, another example.com, and yet another example.net. The host header is like the address on an envelope, ensuring your request goes to the correct digital mailbox. This process happens billions of times a day, completely invisible to most of us. It's a fundamental part of how the internet works, a silent and trusted messenger between your computer and the websites you love. But what if that messenger could be tricked? What if you could write a different address on that envelope? That's the core idea behind host header injection. An attacker can manipulate this header, sending a malicious domain name instead of the real one. A poorly configured website might blindly trust this information. Instead of using its own name to build links or send emails, it uses the fake one provided by the attacker. It's a classic case of misplaced trust. The server assumes the information it receives is honest, but in the world of cybersecurity, we know that's a dangerous assumption to make. This vulnerability turns a website against itself. The server is tricked into generating links that point away from the legitimate site and towards a domain controlled by an attacker. This might seem like a small thing, but it has huge implications. These malicious links can be used in all sorts of nasty ways, especially when they involve sensitive functions like resetting your password. The website, thinking it's helping you, actually creates a perfect trap. It's like a bank teller handing out a withdrawal slip that sends money to a thief's account, all because the thief filled out the destination field themselves. So why does this matter so much? Because it undermines the trust we place in a website's communications. When you get an email from your favorite online store, you assume the links inside are safe. Host header injection breaks that assumption. It allows an attacker to poison the well, turning legitimate emails and web pages into delivery mechanisms for phishing attacks, malware, or credential theft. It's a subtle but powerful vulnerability that can have devastating consequences for unsuspecting users who are just going about their day, clicking on links they believe are perfectly safe. This is the story of how I found one such flaw. My journey began on a typical afternoon, exploring a popular e-commerce website. I wasn't looking for anything specific, just poking around the different features as I often do. Curiosity is a security researcher's greatest tool. I decided to test the password reset functionality, a critical feature for any site that manages user accounts. I entered my email address and clicked the Send Reset link button. A moment later, an email arrived in my inbox. It contained a special, one-time use link designed to let me set a new password. This is where things started to get interesting for me. I looked closely at the link the website had sent me. It was long and complex, containing a unique token that proved I was the legitimate owner of the account. The link started with the website's correct domain name, let's call it legitshop.com. For example, https:/legitshop.com reset, token SACHE 1B2C3D4E5F6. My mind immediately jumped to the host header. I wondered, where did legitshop.com come from? Did the server have its own name hard-coded? Or was it dynamically generating this link based on the host header it received in the initial request? This was the critical question I needed to answer. To test this theory, I needed to intercept and modify the request my browser sent when I asked for the password reset link. I used a special piece of software called a web proxy, which sits between my browser and the internet. This tool lets me see and change all the data being sent back and forth. I went back to the password reset page and initiated the process again. This time, before the request reached the legitshop.com server, my proxy tool grabbed it. I could see all the headers, including the one that said host legitshop.com. This was my chance to experiment. With the request paused, I carefully edited the host header. I changed it from legitshop.com to a domain I controlled, something like attackercontrolledsite.com. I left everything else in the request exactly the same. The server would still see my correct user information and generate a valid password reset token. The only difference was the fake host header I had injected. I forwarded the modified request to the server and held my breath. A few seconds later, a new email landed in my inbox. The moment of truth had arrived. Would the server trust my fake header? I opened the new email, and my suspicion was confirmed. The result was exactly what I had hoped for from a researcher's perspective, but dreaded from a user's. The email looked identical to the first one, with the same friendly message and branding from legitshop.com. However, the password reset link inside was dangerously different. Instead of pointing to the real website, it now pointed to my malicious domain. The link now looked like this: https:/attackercontrolledsite.com reset, token A1B2C3D4E5F6. The website had blindly trusted my injected host header and used it to build the entire link. This is where the real danger lies. An attacker could now weaponize this flaw. First, the attacker would go to the legitshop.com password reset page and enter the victim's email address. Then, just as I did, they would intercept the request and inject their own malicious domain into the host header. The legitshop.com server, completely unaware of the deception, would then send a legitimate-looking password reset email directly to the victim. The email would come from the real website's address, passing all spam filters and appearing completely trustworthy to the unsuspecting user. The victim, believing they are securing their account, would click the link. This click would take them not to legitshop.com, but to the attacker's fake website at attackercontrolledsite.com. The crucial part is that the link still contains the victim's valid one-time password reset token in the URL. The attacker's server would be configured to immediately capture this token from the incoming request. Once the attacker has this token, they have everything they need to take over the account. The victim might see an error page or be redirected back to the real site, never knowing their token was just stolen. With the stolen token, the attacker can now complete the password reset process for themselves. They would take the token and use it on the real legitshop.com website to set a new password of their choosing. The original user is now locked out of their own account. The attacker has full control. They could access saved payment information, view order history, make fraudulent purchases, or steal personal data. All of this was made possible by the server's simple mistake of trusting the host header, turning a security feature into a security nightmare. Discovering a vulnerability like this comes with a great sense of responsibility. My next steps were clear. I needed to report my findings to the legitshop.com security team immediately, providing them with all the information they needed to fix the problem. I drafted a detailed report. I explained what host header injection was in simple terms. I provided the exact step-by-step instructions on how to reproduce the bug, including the modified request I sent. I also outlined the potential impact, explaining how it could lead to complete account takeover for any of their users. I submitted the report through the company's official bug bounty program, a platform designed for security researchers to disclose vulnerabilities responsibly. The response was swift and professional. Within a few hours, I received an acknowledgement from their security team. They confirmed they had received my report and were beginning their investigation. This initial communication is always a good sign. It shows that the company takes security seriously and has a process in place to handle these situations. A few days later, they confirmed the vulnerability and told me their engineers were already working on a patch. About a week after my initial report, I received another email. The team informed me that the vulnerability had been fixed. They had reconfigured their servers to ignore the public host header when generating password reset links, instead using a hard-coded, trusted domain name. As a thank you for my help in securing their platform, they awarded me a monetary reward, often called a bounty. In this case, it was a payment of several $1,000s. While the money is a great incentive, the real reward is knowing that I helped protect thousands of users from a potentially serious attack. This experience highlights the immense value of ethical hacking and responsible disclosure. Security is a collaborative effort. Companies can't find every bug on their own, and researchers play a vital role in strengthening our collective digital defenses. By finding these flaws and reporting them privately, we give companies the chance to fix them before they can be exploited by malicious actors. It makes the internet a safer place for everyone. So, if you're a developer, validate your inputs. And if you're a user, know that there are people out there working behind the scenes to keep you safe.